maybe a key thing to learn from all of this. If you're going to do something really dramatic in your story, it's important to invest people in that. Now, I think this whole plotline could have worked if it was just slower. Basically, that's the thing that's got me, because like through doing all the speculation videos, it's like I've actually liked where parts of it have been going. It's just investing players in that has been the issue. Now, we've already talked about this in the context of transmedia narrative, but Teldrassil, I mean, why was there not some form of in-game content that was exploring the trauma of the Night Elf people? So, you know, why is there not a humanitarian effort that actually involves content that we are doing as players? I don't know if this is just some, you know, Anchorage style, you know, turn in materials. That probably not that. Or, you know, actually the smoldering ruins of it, perhaps, you know, after the Darkshore battle or whatever, are, you know, there's like some hub there where it's like humanitarian work, or, you know, dealing with the stories, dealing with the fallout, you know, the small individual human scale or elf scale stories. Because if you do that, then players can get invested in the big controversial thing that you did. But if you kind of just like use it for the shock value, and then once you've got the shock value, you kind of leap on to the next bit of the plot moving forward, then you're just in this weird game where you got to keep on going higher and higher and higher and higher, you know, topping the thing you just did. You kind of have to do that to keep it interesting, because really the smaller character stories have fallen by the wayside, and the player investment in those big shocking things has not really been there experientially, because it hasn't amounted to much content. You know, in my head, like in Battle for Azeroth, imagine this. Imagine a Battle for Azeroth where the pre-expansion event is actually not Teldrassil. If Teldrassil is like, basically imagine a BFA where Teldrassil is like, I don't know if it's the first raid of the expansion or something. But like imagine if Teldrassil is your first raid. You know, like Lordaeron's your second raid, and then some crazy big showdown ends up being the next one. But the key difference is that we fully explore all of the narrative depth and implications of all of those things to give people a true Battle for Azeroth. Like, that is definitely going to make it harder to drop all of your cosmic teases, but I think that's going to tell a far more human story that players can connect with, that will invest them more in the world, and then, because of that, invest them in the broader narrative. So if you go that level of, sure, it's not blazing fast, but it's really good quality, and you're getting a little bit more cosmic, a little hint there, a little hint here, then you can actually tell the exact story they've been telling. It might just take double the expansions to tell it, but I think that's okay. We sort of chew the, is it true? Chew the gristle? Chew the fat on it?
Chew the fat, yeah.
Chew the fat. I think we can chew. I mean, look, I don't understand that because I cannot imagine chewing the fat, because I mean, it's just blubbery, but yeah, we can chew the fat on it.
Well, that's the point. That's the point. The point of chewing the fat is to actually put the effort into chewing it. It is, maybe it's not the most pleasant, maybe it's not the most enjoyable thing, maybe it's not even the sexy thing. We're like, oh, we're gonna go, where are we going next for the next expansion? We're like, what do you mean we're not going anywhere? What do you mean we're in the same place but the plot's evolved slightly? How are we gonna put that in the back of a box? Don't. Maybe you put in the back of the box, this game's enjoyed by players. How about that? How about that for a goddamn change? Like, instead of, oh, here's the thing, we need all these new players in. Where we're going to the Shadowlands. The old gods are back for 8.3. The old gods are back for 10.0 probably. You know, the Legion's back in 10.2 because we just have to break glass in case of emergency all day long.
Like, Altered Frenzy here said, the trauma of good-hearted Horde soldiers grappling with the fact they helped cause genocide. I would have loved to have watched a Horde soldier kill himself out of guilt. I mean, maybe not that high, but that actually, I mean, that's a pretty legit plot point for a good honorable orc to see what he just did to a bunch of night elves, and, you know, maybe that orc also was grappling with, well, I saw those night elves fight. They were really, you know, they were very honorable. They were very strong fighters. They, you know, I respect them because of my orcish ideals, and, oh dear, you know, I've sort of empathized in common ground, and now I've seen what my leader has just done to all of them, and oh man, this is really heavy. I mean, that's an incredible plot line. I mean, you carry that little story. I mean, wow, it'd be a beautiful story. It'd be great.
The thing that bugs me about all of this, especially the burning of Teldrassil, is that I remember how I felt doing that quest to save the night elves as the tree was burning, and it was the most simple thing. It was the most simple thing they could possibly have done, where they went, here is, you know, your objective, save. I can't remember how many it was, but it was save a lot of night elves, and you couldn't. because you didn't have the time.
Yeah.
The tree was burning faster than you could save people. You got a couple of them out, especially if you went full speed, you could get a good couple out. But especially as someone who's playing a paladin, someone, who my character would be devoted to this effort, they would be in there until the tree was about to fall on them. But, teleported out, only saved a couple. I remember how I felt doing that. I don't remember anything else about BFA. I don't remember anything else about, I don't remember how I felt during any of Shadowlands, because I was just like, this is all just, it's all just nothing. There's no emotion in most of this. There's a little bit here and there, but it's never set up correctly. But I remember that. And if you had given me time...
That was you having emotion in your experience.
Yeah.
Instead of just watching a cinematic and, having emotions to what those characters are going through, you're actually having emotions based on what your character was going through.
Yeah, that was...
And that is narrative design in an MMO.
That's a good gameplay experience. That's a good player experience. And that is not been their priority over whatever the narrative designers are doing, which is fundamentally where all of these problems arise from.
Yeah.
It is the misalignment of not incentives, it's a misalignment of priorities, because they want to tell the Sylvanas story, but they don't want us to experience the Sylvanas story, or at least they don't want us to experience it in the way that we can experience it the best. They obviously want us to experience it, but on their terms, or on the terms they can make possible, which is watch cinematic, it'll make sense 7 months later in a book.
Honestly, give all these people a big budget, big development team, and send them to make a narrative-driven action game.
Yeah.
Maybe 20-hour campaign, 15, whatever. A big, a God of War. And it's going to be really expensive. It's going to be that type of tentpole game that, it's Blizzard doing a game that feels like a Sony first party. This is Warcraft, maybe, I don't know if we call it Warcraft 4 brackets. Sorry, it's a different genre this time. But whatever. Because I really think they are telling that game's story. They're not telling an MMO story. They're telling a single-player narrative game story. Yeah. And I love single-player narrative games. In fact, I love single-player narrative games to the point where, we're making one. But they're trying to stuff it where it doesn't fit. Either that or they could make it fit. But they need to be slower and change up some of their tech.
Yeah.
Take a little bit of, look, there's nothing I want more than World of Warcraft to shamelessly rip off how FF14 does and tell WoW story, in that way. Nothing I want more than that, because, it would be good. I want the WoW story. I like the setup of FF14 and all of that stuff, but, there's something about the WoW stuff. I really like it. Generally speaking, I gravitate to the WoW thing more. But it's the quality of execution of some of the FF stuff that's what's, had me interested in that. I say interested because I've not played a great deal of that game. I've just, I've been really busy. And I have, funny enough, this might surprise some of the people who really get angry at me all the time. I've been playing way more World of Warcraft than Final Fantasy.
Crying shame, to be honest, but...
but I have, and that's been my choice because I wanted to do Raid, which we will get into because we actually do have really good stuff to talk about today. But I think just the narrative stuff, it's worth talking about. And I know not everybody wanted to just sit here and talk about narrative design in games for an hour and a half.
Yep.
But look, I do think it's important to World of Warcraft that we get this stuff right, because it was decently controversial in BFA. And I guess the thing with Shadowlands is some people hate it. I think most people are just apathetic, and that's the saddest thing about it.
And again, because for some reason, apparently everything that we're talking about is relevant to the FF14 GDC slides. But apathy is what Blizzard don't realize is going to kill them.
Oh, definitely.
They're going to wake up one day and go, where have all our players gone? Have we not? Is the gameplay content not good enough? Is there something wrong with how we were designing our raids? Should we make better encounters? And then, someone's going to, I don't know, some wise janitor is going to be cleaning the place and go past the one person that's emblematic of Blizzard in this fake scenario I've set up in my head. It's slightly inspired by Control. But this janitor's going to come along and go, they wanted the narrative. And Blizzard's going to be like, shit. We didn't realise we'd actually screwed that for the past couple of years. We were so focused on everything else and all of the metric numbers and all of the gameplay that we didn't realize why everyone was hanging around for so long, which is because they love the World of Warcraft. and it's now it's not it's now the cosmic realm of a Warcraft character.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
Cool.
much. So I think that's that for the narrative stuff. There's just severe narrative design issues that they're facing.
Yep.
And overcome them.